es el creador, uno es el creador, uno es el creador, uno es el creador. Baruch hu Baruch Shemo.
אחד, שתיים, שלוש.
Let us all who are hungry come and eat. This year all are not yet free. Next year all shall be free. Manistana halayla hazeh mikol halaylut mikol halaylut.
All right, you don't mind being Joseph, do you?
No.
Okay. Joseph was in Canaan, which was the land of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Joseph was one of Jacob's sons. Where's Jacob? Okay. Now, Jacob sends Joseph out to spy on his...
Can we act as his brothers?
Okay, you're his brothers. And Joseph's brothers, they don't like that, so they throw Joseph
We don't
in a...
like you.
What do they do with Joseph?
We throw you in a hole.
All right, and what do they do with Joseph's coat of many colors?
We take it and we get some blood and we pour it in there and then we go back to our father and we lie to him. Hey, Dad, Joseph was just dead by a wild boar and we don't know what to do. We're
All
so
right,
sorry.
now what does Jacob say when he sees Joseph's coat of many colors that's been dipped in an animal's blood?
I'm so sorry.
He's very sad. He's very sad. But where is Joseph really? Where do they sell Joseph? To whom? Who knows? Raise your hand. Allie.
The Ishmaelites.
To the Ishmaelites. And where do the Ishmaelites take Joseph?
Take Egypt.
Okay, let's go to Egypt. Take everybody to Egypt. Off to Egypt.
Long ago, the Jews lived in Egypt. The kings of Egypt were called pharaohs. One pharaoh made the Jews become slaves. They had to work very hard all day building great stone cities. They cried out to God for help.
I'm holding a rather strange object, which I'm going to pass around to each one of you, and I want you to feel it in your hands. And I'm going to ask people to guess if they can guess what this is. So why don't you just start passing it around, and if you have a suggestion as to what this thing is, why don't you raise your hand? Dan.
And it looks like a big slab of chocolate.
I wouldn't suggest that we actually try to taste it. Pass it along. Pass it along. Zach, take the thing. Anyone else?
A big piece of clay, maybe?
Maybe it's a piece of clay that's supposed to be a brick.
Why do you think that I am holding a brick?
The Jews were like forced and by the Pharaoh to make bricks.
So can I have a volunteer to read this?
The taskmaker says, "The whip is in my hand. Don't be lazy."
You're in a lot of pain and you are extremely dirty. What else might you be feeling,
They
Miriam?
might be angry that they had to be slaves.
Yeah, they probably felt a little like cheap and low to be only
Excellent.
slaves.
Good, excellent.
Well, they might feel really weak and tired.
I think they might be like a little bit hungry because they don't get a lot of food.
Good.
I think they might have felt scared because they were always getting whipped and stuff by the slave drivers.
First of all, I wanted to try a machine game that's going to get us at this theme of slavery. So, does anybody know what a machine game is? How it works? Right, good. Stay, pick a spot once you got it.
Ow! Ow! Ow!
Come on, work harder, work! Let's go! Come on! Freeze! Great, all right.
I'm trained as a trial lawyer, and I'm a partner in a law firm of 110 lawyers. I don't make my money during the week by teaching school, but I teach school on Sunday for a variety of reasons. One is it makes me feel good and it scratches an itch that I have. But two, it speaks volumes to my children about the importance of Jewish education. There's none of this, I don't want to go to Sunday school. Daddy goes to Sunday school. Daddy teaches at Sunday school.
I really passionately believe that the stuff that I teach is important. It's not just interesting or necessary as a body of knowledge, but that it really can transform the lives of my students.
Initially I was teaching actually in a public school system, but what brought me back into the Jewish educational system is that our stories, I felt I could only go so far with certain myths and creative aspects in the public system, and there's just something that's so rich about our own heritage that I really wanted to work with that and work with young people and bring that excitement with them to see that there's a whole level of accessibility.
The best conversations are focused on issues about God and spirituality and theology, and I can't say this enough. It's like you really want to convince the kids that Judaism is not just something they should know, but something that can enrich their lives.
One of the things I really like to bring into the classroom is my own background, which is in educational theater and drama, creative drama. And that way I get to bring a lot of myself into it as well.
I had to do something with my art and my Jewishness in my life.
I learned so much. I do. I think I think it should be mandatory for the parents to have to teach or be a teacher aide.
There's a sense of real family, that if everything else is going wrong, you know that when you walk into the synagogue and you see the kids and you see your cohorts, it's soul saving.
See it as a journey. See it as something where you're going to learn along with your students, and that it can be, if you want it, something that will enrich your life, and not just a time and a place that you're going to go into work, but will be a part of who you are in your life, and you'll grow from it.
Do it only because you love it. Do it because you have something to offer the kids, and do it with a full heart.
I wanted to help plant that seed to get the tree to grow for the future.
Here we have 4 children that we talk about, right? At least, when I was a little girl, it was 4 sons. So at least we've gotten to 4 children. We're making progress.
All of us have within us all aspects of this, and that, that being wicked sometimes is really being wise.
If nobody challenged rules, we'd still be under the British rule or whatever.
Moses questioned the rules. Since slavery was a rule, he questioned the rule of slavery.
At that time, Pharaoh didn't let the ladies to have baby boys, so Pharaoh would kill them. So then Moses' mother, when he was a baby, she made a little raft thing and put him in the lake. Then Pharaoh's sister found him and took him as her son. Moses' real mother was the babysitter person.
Where's Moses? Allie, you're Moses. So then we know the story of Moses, and Moses grows up and becomes a leader. And what does Moses say to Pharaoh?
Let my people.
You're the Pharaoh. You don't say that. What does Moses say to Pharaoh?
Let my people go. No!
Each group is going to pretend like they are now a family that is either in Egypt and slaves under Pharaoh, or recently coming out of Egypt. And what I want every group to do is to write a dialogue or a little play or a skit that they're going to present to the rest of the class that is somehow going to get across the feeling of what it is like to be slaves in Egypt or to be liberated from Egypt.
So if you didn't know how everything turned out, what do you think your options would be?
No, I think they should have a violent revolution and take them over.
There's not much of a chance you're gonna get out if you violently revolt.
For the first people that were slaves, it was probably very hard and, painful and suffering and everything. But I think, after, that generation, when you're born into it, and it's like your life, you don't really think of anything other than it.
There was something, though, when Moses came and said, listen, we're going to try to break out of that pattern, there was something in people that hadn't, even after hundreds of years, died away.
I don't think that I would, in the beginning, back Moses, because there's just this guy who comes in and he says that I'm going to free you all. Why would I want to believe him?
Maybe there was some mistrust initially, but who's also there? We've also got Miriam and Aaron.
If he was like, pack your stuff, we're leaving, I'd be like, sure, pack up my stuff, go. And if we got caught, well, it was worth a try because it might have been something better.
If I did this theme song, boop, 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 you would know it is Jeopardy! Okay, this is Jeopardy. Octochai. And the answer is lamb's blood. Right, okay, right, Rachel, come on, baby.
What was put on the doorpost of the Jews?
Yes.
Okay.
Elijah, the spirit
the angel of death.
Oh yeah, the angel of death could pass over them.
Pass over. Double points.
There were 10 plagues. Done.
Remember, guys, don't lick your fingers because we're not supposed to take joy in anybody else's sadness.
What are some of the issues that you think that we're enslaved by today? In this country, as we sit here, even in this classroom.
I think that the thought of having money and being rich enslaves us. This drives us to work more and really not have very much, not have a very fun life.
Well, I think when you're trying to achieve a certain goal of being in a certain group or something in school or something, it sort of enslaves you to try to be that person, but it's not really your personality.
So pick something that you think we're enslaved by now, and you're going to give us just a real short 10, 20-second commercial that's about being free from that thing.
Oh my God. Nice jacket, Heather.
It's my brother's. Mine's a cleaners.
Okay.
You don't hang out with people who dress like that.
Where is your real jacket?
Come on, let's
free yourself from peer pressure and get this book of answers.
We began today's class talking about what it feels like to be slaves in Egypt, and I want to end today's lesson by talking about what it feels to be free.
When you're a slave, you feel kind of helpless, and when you're free, you feel you have more control.
Good. And I think that's really important to remember, that you have to, when you're free, you can make decisions for yourself.
You feel like you're happy, and you feel kind of more active and more aware of yourself.
Right. Good. In a sense, we're not completely free, because what happens after we become free? Who then do we begin to serve? God. We begin to serve God. So in some sense, we're never totally free. An assignment for you to do with your family, your parents and your brothers and sisters. What everyone is going to be given is a letter that's already written out, and you're also going to be given the name of a family that exists somewhere in the world today that is living under, not necessarily enslaved, they're not necessarily enslaved, but they're oppressed. They're living under some pretty grim circumstances and pretty grim situations.
We have a year-long tzedakah project that starts every day with the children bringing canned goods. I don't expect 7 and 8-year-olds to have an understanding of what happens to that 25 cents or that dollar that mom or dad stuffs into their hand on their way out of the car in the morning. So we collect food, and then at the end of the year we take it to a shelter, and we deliver it to the people who run the shelter, and we show them that they have a place in the community.
At last, Pharaoh cried to Moses, "Go, take all the Jews and go now."
We let the Jews go, but then he came after them. God help us. I forget which one it was, but one person went in all the water, and the waters of the sea came up to right under the nose. Then the waters parted. And they got across. The Jews got across, but not Pharaoh's army and everybody else.
Siete días de Shabbat, 6 días de semana, 5 libros de Torah, 4 madres Israel, 3 nuestros padres son, 2 Moshe y Aarón, uno es el creador, Baruch Hu, Baruch Shemo. El creador, uno es el creador, uno es el creador, uno es el creador.